Hi, welcome to my podcast, Talking Travel with Wendy. I travel the globe interviewing really cool people in small hospitality and tourism businesses. Join me each week as I discover and share something or someone new with you. You can find more at www.travelwithwendy.net. And remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy. This past summer, I had the opportunity to take an amazing road trip from Alabama to Colorado. I visited 14 American states, tons of family and friends after a long year of COVID, and I had a ball rediscovering America. In this first of the series, I'm going to share my itinerary and highlights along the way. However, the next few weeks, I'll be sharing more detailed information of each place I've discovered. So first of all, I had a change in plans because originally I was supposed to be heading to Germany to visit family in June and stay for a nice long time. But unfortunately, due to COVID and travel restrictions, they were all kibosh. So I rerouted my plans. Fully vaccinated and masks in tow, I was ready to hit the American roads. My family's very big, and I knew between my military family and my extended family, I could crash a few nights along the way. Also, I drive a hybrid, a Kia Niro, so it only costs about $25 to fill my tank, and I get about 500 miles to a tank. Yeah, it's true. First of all, you need to plan the route, so I did. This first road trip was relatively easy because I had planned to take a cross-country road trip to Rome, America in an electric car back in March of 2020, but as we all know ad nauseum, 2020 was just a bit whatever, right? Especially if you live in the travel world. So I'm one for making lemonade out of lemons. This is how I plan the route. First of all, drive no more than 6 hours a day and stops along the way for resting and potty breaks. I planned where to eat because I'm now a vegan vegetarian and it makes it tough on the road if you just wing it. So just wait for the blog on that. It's going to be great. Then I concentrated on what to pack because I needed all kinds of weather gear, including hiking because I was heading out to Colorado. Then I created a calendar of information. You can do this on a spreadsheet or a Word doc, it doesn't matter. The travel route by car, which way I was going to go, where I was going to stay, and how long, and with who, restaurants and foods, and of course, sights to see along the way. I love doing research when traveling to new places, and yes, I do spend hours and hours reading and scoping the internet, Pinterest, books, chats with trusted friends on where I should go. Don't miss or totally skip. It's a waste of time. It's part of the adventure for me too, and when you happen to find a new find, I hope that you share it with me. I found several of those on this road trip, so stick with me because over the next few weeks, I'm going to have a lot of surprises. Yeah, so like most of us in the travel industry for 2020, our businesses took a massive hit to the jugular. So I knew that I also couldn't spend a fortune on this adventure. So I reached out to my peeps and ended up having the most amazing visits with family and friends that I haven't seen from being stationed overseas in Germany for the last 5 years. So first of all, my first travel tip is don't be afraid to ask. I've had a few friends tell me that they didn't want to imposition their friends or family just by asking them to spend a night or two with them. But I'm telling you, go ahead and ask. People really want to see you. And after the year we've had, I'll assure you that I'm not looking at your dust bunnies and how cluttered your house is, because God Lord knows you don't want to look at mine. I just want to see smiling faces, and it turned out that they wanted to see mine too. So don't be afraid to ask, can I spend the night? Then I always take a gift with me. I always bring something from home that they possibly can't get where they're at. And you don't have to go hog wild. Bring a candle, some flowers, fun spices. For Alabama, I brought 1818 Farm lotions and Piper and Leaf tea, both local companies that I love, and I know them personally, and I love supporting. So I'll put the links in the description below if you're interested in either one of those really awesome growing companies. Okay, then because, of course, I don't have family everywhere, I had to look at other accommodations along the way. So after I stayed with my friend Melissa in Colorado and we made our way back to Alabama, I did use Airbnb and Booking.com, mostly because I wasn't quite sure what the policies were going to be for individual hotels and stays through America because of COVID. So I wanted to be kind of assured. Normally, I don't use these third-party sites, but with the year we've had, I went ahead and did it. And it cut down on some of my research. If you followed me for just a hot second, you know that I like to stay in unique and extraordinary stays that you just don't find anywhere. So I usually stay somewhere that's close to town, but maybe on the outskirts of town, off the beaten path. So you'll definitely want to stay with me on the southern route of this cross-country tour because we visit interesting places like a pueblo in New Mexico, a tiny house in Texas, and we stayed in a renovated old saloon-type hotel in Oklahoma, just to mention a few. Building your itinerary, I now know that every one of us travels differently, and if you haven't taken my fun interactive travel personality test, well, hop on over on the website travelwithwendy.net on my What's Your Travel Personality link and take that because it's really fun and it can really help you build your itinerary specifically. One of the most important elements in planning an itinerary like this for a road trip that's over several days is to take into account your time. Some people disregard this when they're planning their itinerary because they want to see everything, but unfortunately, you can spend your time trying to fill your days and you haven't put in any time to stop and smell the roses along the way. I break up travel by creating stops that are combination, like you can eat, it's potty break, and it might be a tourist destination. I did find a bunch of cool places. For instance, I stopped in Nebraska because my friends and family told me I absolutely needed to see the Capitol building. And if you check out the blog, you can see some of the pictures. And of course, for that section of the content, I'll include a lot more pictures. While I was at the Capitol building, I also found a great place to catch a vegan bite to eat. It was comfort food called rutabagas, and that was really neat too. So if you do just a little bit of research on these stops along the way, it also makes for a really interesting day. The next travel tip is to plan for contingencies. Yep, because even the best laid plans of mice and men sometimes screw up. So this can happen to the best of us because travel is unpredictable. You can't control the weather, road construction, local holidays, unexpected closings, or fun surprises like local festival, parades, charming restaurants, because the one you want to go to is closed. But sometimes these are, favorite oopses. My John says sometimes I walk backwards into dog poop and I come out smelling like a rose. I'm not sure about that analogy, but he's right. A lot of times things that are oops or they didn't happen because of whatever reason, scheduling, weather, blah, blah, blah. We've landed into something even better that we wouldn't have planned otherwise. So, for instance, one of those was we showed up at the Louvre the very first time we went to Paris together as a family and found out that it was closed on Tuesdays. And so we found out that it's a 20-minute walk to the Picasso Museum, and my artist daughter was absolutely thrilled that we were able to visit Picasso's museum too. So it's not always a downer when things happen. On this trip, for instance, one of the bed and breakfasts I was staying at had a family emergency and had to close for the weekend. So I just decided to head to Colorado, straight on, till morning, and have an extra day to visit with my friend Melissa. And as I did, I drove through a Colorado sunset that I was able to capture, and it would have been a shame had I missed that. So it wasn't all that bad. So one of the best travel tips that I can give you is enjoy the ride, literally and metaphorically. Life is short, and we all totally learned that this past year, right? So who knew this worldwide hiccup would change the trajectory of future travel forever? No one could see this coming, so just enjoy the lemonade. Depending on how you make it, it can be too sour or too sweet. Sometimes it's just right. Thanks so much for joining me here today and listening to my podcast. Check out the links in the description below. My podcast helps support small businesses and share authentic experiences around the globe. Remember to like, follow, and share my podcast. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you're interested in traveling the world, join my private Facebook group, Travel Planning with Wendy. This is where I share unique tips and information with my group. Thanks for listening again. It's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy.